What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So good to get the win. Obviously, we need to win, but there are three reasons why this game didn't really get me as excited as a win should. First of all, uh, basically kind of a similar performance that we've seen all season, where we look like we're the better team. We're creating chances. We waste all of them except for one. We managed to get that one, and by the end of the game, it's biting fingernails because we're just defending that one goal lead because we couldn't put the ball in the goal. And it just keeps happening game after game, and it just sort of depends. Is the other team going to get lucky and get that goal, or are we going to manage to hold on? Today we managed to hold on, but other games we've not been so lucky. So, performance wise, not too exciting because it's still the same old crap that we've been seeing. Hall looked like he might have picked up an injury, which is not exciting because he looks exciting and I want to see more of him, but I don't know how bad whatever happened, the knock that he took in the first half. Obviously, he was able to continue playing on it, but is it something where he was able to continue, but after the game wears off, after actually looking at it, it's going to be, oh no, he needs to rest because he's not fully fit? I don't expect him to play in the match against Liverpool. I think it's going to be. I'm pretty sure the next match is a quick turnaround, so I don't expect him to play three matches in a row like this at 18 years old. But I'm just hoping whatever that was. It's scary because obviously we've been dealing with so many injuries. Anytime a player goes down, it's just that nervousness of, oh my god, not another one. Especially when it's a player who's been playing so well. He seemed to walk off on his own power. Seemed like it may have just been a cramp in the second half. So fingers crossed that that's what it was. But it's something that took down the excitement of this win a little bit. And the third one is this is an expected win. I went ahead and did the stats just to see because I was curious because obviously Palace are one of the teams that are below us. We're midway through the table, so we have almost half above and half below. And I was curious to see how have we fared against top half teams versus lower half teams. Because you look at all the teams below us and only two have outscored us this season. Everybody else is like scoring in the teens still. Most of them haven't broken 20. And Palace is one of those teams. So I had the thought of, well, how have we fared against bottom half teams versus top half teams? We have not beaten a single team in the top half. Not once. At home or away, we've faced 8 teams. I think that's right. 9. Yes. I had to do some quick math. So we faced all 9 teams above us, right? We've drawn 2 at home, 2 away, and we've lost 3 at home, 3 away. So we're actually doing better away against top half teams. Kind of, we face more teams at home, but we haven't beaten a single team in the top half. That's where our problem lies. Bottom half, we faced 5 at home and we've won all of them, and then we faced 6 away. So I guess we're technically in the second half of the season. I guess we played some teams twice, but we've won 8 of the games, the 11 games that we played away. We've only lost and drawn on the road. So that kind of tells you the bottom half of the table, we typically do well, especially at home. We've not lost or drawn any of the bottom half teams at home. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that we have to just sit back and whatever. We don't worry about this match because we still need to get the job done. But I'm not as worried about these matches. These matches, we win them, that's expected. That's what we've been doing all season. This is no problem. We need to start beating the teams in the top half of the table. We also need to more consistently be beating the teams in the bottom half on the road, but that's a different story. But that's why I look at this match and I think, okay, this kind of is still within what we're expecting for the season, what we've been seeing throughout this season. If we want to start trying to make our way back up the table towards Europe again, we have to be beating teams better than Palace. That's where we are right now. So, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we won. I would have been pissed if we didn't. But this win doesn't necessarily make me think we're back. We're back on top. We're back to what we expect. This is still within, just like the win against Bournemouth. It was a good, solid win. We also lost James that day. But it's still within the boundaries of what I've expected based on this season. Based on how the season is going. So until we beat a team in the top half, I'm still not really going to be too excited about many wins that we get. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on the game overall. I do want to talk before I get into the meat of the game about the one big exciting news that happened before the match. Obviously, Mudryk is probably who you're thinking I'm talking about, but that's not the exciting news. No, he's going to be an overpaid player again, because why are we paying over 100 million for a guy from Shakhtar Donetsk? He might be good. He's not going to be 100 million good. Nowhere near that. So another example of Chelsea overspending on a player that's going to be bang average. So that's not exciting. No, what is exciting though is there are reports coming out that Chelsea are going to start looking into the medical staff and finding out what needs to change, because so many players are not returning from their injuries at full fitness. So many players are dealing with injuries this year, and something I've talked about. Why isn't that being invested? Why did it take this long for that to be looked into? Because it's been an issue for a while now this season. And it's taken until now, until second half of the season, for us to finally go, maybe we should look into that. Maybe we should get that fixed, because we have a lot of good players who are out injured. Hello? So, yeah, I'm glad they're finally doing it. I don't know if we're going to actually get a report about what is going to happen. If anybody steps down, or if they fire anybody, or if they replace anybody, if they make changes to how we're treating injured players. I don't know if we're going to get any reports about what changes are happening there, but I'm glad that at least they're finally looking into that, and they're finally saying, okay, here's a big problem we're having, let's look to fix that. Because it is. And as much as I don't like Potter right now, and as much as I feel like he's not the coach to take us forward, I will admit we would not be this bad off, even under Potter, if we had our full team. I don't think we'd be challenging top 4, but we would not be in 10th place. We'd probably be in like 6th or 7th at this point. So that it's something that it should have been looked at, because any manager that we've had in probably would have been struggling because of all the injuries. So let's fix that. So I hope there's some major changes that happen there, and I hope we start to see some of these players not just return from injury, but also we start to see players that are not getting injured at the drop of a hat, because that's been very frustrating for this season. Again, just watching Hall go down in the first half and kind of hobble, I'm thinking, God, he's going to be out now for like 3 weeks, isn't he? So anyways, that's all I have to say about pre-match stuff. During the match, talk about the refs first, because Peter Banks, man. I mean, I talked about how bad David Coote is, but yeah, Peter Banks is pretty bad too. Like, there's so many referees that when I hear their names, I'm thinking, God, he's one of those young referees that's come in and looked awful the past few seasons. Like that. Both of these two are two that I would say are in that running for the worst refs in the Premier League. But my God, I mean, there's so many moments of just, seriously, you're calling that? And not even just against us, like for us too. There was a moment where Jorginho got the ball caught up under his feet trying to do too much, and the ball got poked off of him, and he goes down, and we get a foul for that. And I'm thinking, seriously? Like, Palace player won the ball there. It's not a foul. Decore should have been sent off. He was already on a yellow, and then he goes flying into that one challenge with Gallagher, and then doesn't get a call for it. And then on top of that, Aubameyang gets called a foul on Gaeta for essentially taking a shot, and then he calls a foul against that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Then you don't go give Decore his second yellow, and then Decore goes in, takes out Ziyech. Ball's been played, and then a second later he comes in and wipes him out. No card there. Hughes got a card when he should have already been on one for a challenge he made earlier. So it's just so many of those moments. Did it balance out? Maybe. But my bias, I see it, and I'm thinking, God, there were so many that didn't go for us that it frustrated me. And again, the way the game was going, the nervousness of holding on to that 1-goal lead, that also played into it, because I'm thinking, God, Decore should be off right now, and he just had a great shot that Kepa saved. So anyways, yeah, Peter Banks today, another bad referee. And honestly, referees in general just need to be looked at. Don't want to get into too much of the other controversy, but we saw a goal ruled out that was correct, and then VAR stepped in and said, wait a minute, but he didn't actually touch the ball. I mean, he went and attacked it. The defender, played him offside, and the defender, couldn't make a challenge because he was in the way. But he didn't touch the ball, so he's not offside. That's the rule now. That's how we're interpreting it. Like, referees are stupid these days. And I do think VAR is hindered a lot of referees because they rely so much on technology. They don't actually, I don't feel like they're really doing much in the run of play because they're just thinking, VAR's got it. So I feel like a lot of them have really started to lose touch of how the game is supposed to flow, when to give cards, when to step in, when a challenge is a foul versus not. It just feels like there's a lot of really weird calls that have been happening lately, and I don't think VAR is the main cause, but I do think it's been kind of a crutch for how bad referees have started to get. And on top of that, unfortunately, a lot of these refereeing organizations, they don't want to criticize the referees, so they'll just continue to let them make bad decisions and say, no, you can't criticize us because we're in charge. And so referees can get away with stuff like that. So anyways, but yeah, let's talk about individuals, because it was a little bit of a different lineup to start off with. You have Ziyech out of the right wing back and Hall on the left. Betashiel gets his first start. So kind of interesting there. Havertz starts again, which obviously he got the goal, but I'm still not excited to see more of him because just on the whole of the game, he just doesn't give much for us. Even though he scores a goal today, I'm thinking still not one of our better players though. So, but yeah, I mean, lineup wise, didn't get me extremely excited, but also had some moments of okay, I'll be curious to see how that goes. It is a little bit different. But going from a back three again, Kepa in goal did okay. Looked a bit better. Had a couple of actual good saves today that kept us in the match. Still nothing that like out of his range, I guess. Because I feel like I've talked about this before, but the saves that you make that you're thinking, how did he get there? Those are the saves that I think separates the world class keepers from the good keepers. The good keepers, they'll make saves like the one Kepa made today. The one from Decore in the second half, it's within his range. It's right up here. You just got to get up and touch it over. There was one in the first half that was it was a little bit over here, but it's still within, I just step and I put my hand here and it's there. I don't really think we have either of our keepers, Kepa or Mendy, neither of them have been making the saves where it's like, I have to push. I've got to go from here all the way to the other side of the goal. I've got to get a finger on that. We don't have keepers that do that. Those are the saves that I see like Allison making or De Gea making. Those keepers keep their teams in games. Our keepers do their job, and that's kind of the base of it. So, again today, I mean, he did his job well. Didn't do anything to extremely impress. He has had a couple impressive games previously, don't get me wrong, but recently he's kind of gone back into that, okay, he's making the saves he should be making, but we really need him to be making that save that keeps it at 1-0, or the save against Fulham that keeps it at 1-1. Those type of saves are the ones that I want to see him making more of. But anyways, I digress. In the back three, Chalobah, better game today, but still very shaky. I don't know what's going on with him. Like I said, he's had much better games than he's had the past 2 or 3 that he's played. So I don't know if the long break and then not playing, I don't know if that's put him off or if he's just starting to drop off because he's not at that level where he can continue to play at such quality and teams are starting to figure out how to play against him. I don't know, but it's been frustrating because we needed him to step up now more than ever because our defense has been so ugly to watch. And it feels like he's just not taking up the reins. He's not doing anything to impress. And I'm getting frustrated with that. So, but yeah, another game where he's causing more issues, I feel like, than he's really helping us. Silva, on the other hand, once again, just the exact epitome of what it's like to have an experienced defender in the back. Something that I've talked about with like Atlanta United, how we didn't have that defensive experience after we let go of Parkhurst. This is what an experienced defender can bring you. He's not the strongest, he's not the fastest. He's always in the right position at the right time, though, and that's what you need. That's where defenders like Van Dijk, if he's not quite up to it, if he's physically not quite up to it, you'll see him getting beat because he's not in the right place. A lot of his best defending comes in the moments where he has enough strength and speed to make up for, oh crap, I didn't read that run, or oh crap, I didn't see that guy. But he's fast enough to make up for that. Silva is not, but he never really has to make up for much because he's always putting himself in the right spot. He always reads the play before it comes in. And that's what I love about having a defender like him. That's why I prefer defenders like Silva over defenders like Van Dijk. So yeah, great game from him again. Saved us near the end. Love having him. But Ashiel, for his debut, was okay. I didn't really think he was tested as much as some other teams will test us. Again, Palace, they've scored like 5 fewer goals than we have, and we only have like 22 after today. So obviously, this is not the defensive masterclass that a clean sheet normally shows. Like it's a good defensive performance against a team that is weak in the attack this season. But for what he had to do today, I thought he did well. Defensively on the crosses, I thought he looked strong. He looks good in the air. The one moment of kind of shakiness where Gallagher puts a bad ball over him, he didn't quite read that quick enough, and Elise looked like he might have been through, but he did well enough to not make a foul there. Where some other defenders who maybe don't use their brains as much, Koulibaly, would have probably just fouled him, maybe taken a yellow, possibly a red, put himself in a very dangerous position. But he actually did a good job he put just enough of a challenge on Elise to slow him up, which allowed him to get in behind, and now he's goal side. And now he's able to slow him down a bit and allow the other players, his other defenders to get back and help out. So I thought he handled that situation very well. And again, on the crosses that were being put in, because they were putting in a lot of crosses, especially near the end, I thought he was doing pretty well. I thought he was winning a lot of those. At least he was up there in the challenge, which puts a lot of strikers off, because some defenders just won't challenge sometimes. So yeah, overall, solid performance. Hopefully we see better because, again, love to see him take that spot from Koulibaly based on the past few performances. Ziyech on the right side, honestly, a lot more of a wing than a wing back over there. He did work back a couple times, but what he's out there to do is to get into that space, get the ball, and make something happen. And that's what he did in the first half. Second half kind of dropped off again. And I feel like that's kind of been a typical thing for him. The games where he has started recently, I've seen very good first halves, and then second half I don't really notice that he's out there. And I feel like a lot of that is down to the flow of the game. When we're in the ascendancy, when we have a lot of the possession, when we're breaking down the field, he looks good because he gets on the ball, he makes things happen. When we're kind of like, all right, we got the goal, let's sit back a little bit, let's take it in, let's not break out as much. Those are the moments where suddenly he's just not a factor because he's not on the ball, he's not down in their third. And I feel like that's something he's got to work on. He can't just disappear when we decide to go on the defensive because we have to go on the defensive, especially on the road a lot of the time. So he's got to find a way to work himself into the match, or he's got to work harder on the other side of the ball to try to win it back so he can make something happen. So that's just kind of the duality of trying to be a wing back. It feels like he's more focused on the wing, not so much the back. But I think part of the thinking behind that is because Chalobah is out there. He's a little bit more defensive minded. He can kind of slide out. It sort of becomes a back four if Hall drops back in. So I think that's kind of how that's supposed to work. It just didn't always, unfortunately, work like that. So Hall on the left side, though, again, I'm impressed with him. He's not setting the world alight. He's obviously missed a couple of clear-cut chances in recent games. One definitely should have at least put on target today. It's kind of funny because it went out, ref gave a goal kick. I'm thinking, I thought the keeper got a touch on it. Yeah, the keeper almost actually turned it in because it was wide, and then it bounced off the keeper's calf and nearly went into the goal. So yeah, his finishing could definitely use some work, but what he does on the ball, the danger that he creates when he's on the ball, and his runs as well down that left side, it shouldn't be understated how much of a value of a player he is when he does that. Because I feel like sometimes players like Hall, when, you think about Werner last season, how many chances do we see him waste where that's got to be a goal? He's basically one-on-one with the keeper, that's got to be a goal. He wasted a lot of them. But you look at the difference between our attack with him last season and this season without him, you can see there's a clear lack of energy and a lack of movement because he's not up there making runs. He's not up there moving around, causing problems for the defense, drawing a defender with him. He's not doing any of that because he's not here anymore. Instead, we have Havertz just standing and waiting for the ball to come to him, and it's very easy to defend that. So I feel like Too often we see players like Hall today missing those chances despite all of the good work he does outside of that. People hone in on that one moment and they go, that's not good enough. He's not good enough. He's not going to cut it. And I feel like that's ridiculous, because obviously finishing is a big part of the game. But if we're not creating chances to miss, then we're not even we're not even creating anything. We're not doing anything. We're just sitting back and waiting for the other team to come score on us. So, yes, missed chances are a problem. Yes, we do need to work on our finishing. However, let's not vilify the players who are creating those chances that then they miss. Let's try to say, hey, I like the hard work. Let's focus on getting the finishing down. Let's not blast them because of those misses, because all that will do is just drop their confidence even more, and they'll probably miss more. So I don't know. It's kind of a personal sore subject for me because, again, I miss Werner. I miss his runs. Mount is a player who's now been thrown under the bus this season because he's had a lot of rough games where he's working hard but he doesn't have help, and people are trying to sell him. People are like, no, we need to get him out of the club. I'm like, why? Why would you want to get out a player who always gives 100% for the club every single match? That's stupid. So that's just my own personal, gripe at the moment with fans. In the middle, Jorginho and Gallagher, not a very strong midfield, and I feel like it showed. As often as Palace like to go out wide to Zaha and try to get him to make something happen, it felt like their best chances today came through the middle because it's very easy to play through that midfield. Jorginho, slow, gets turned way too easily. God, there was one moment where literally all the guy had to do was just a quick little boom, and he's past him, and Jorginho just went... just watched him, didn't even try to get back behind the ball. Like he goes out to defend, gets beat, and then just turns and watches as the guy's driving to the top of the box. I'm thinking, people nearly awarded him the Ballon d'Or. This guy that can't defend to save his life, he nearly got the Ballon d'Or over Conte, who can run a midfield by himself. Insanity. It's insane to watch Jorginho play and think this guy was third place in the Ballon d'Or just a couple years ago. What do people see in him? Anyways, off the Jorginho hate train for a second. On the ball today, I thought he was looking a lot weaker than he has been, because honestly, I thought he looked okay the past couple matches. He won the ball decently well. He kept possession decently well. He kept the ball moving okay. Today, it felt like he really was slow, just all around. So I don't know if it's just playing too many matches back-to-back, can't handle it, or what it was. But, he was really, really rough to watch today. And Gallagher... Here's the difference between Gallagher and Mount, because I know I just talked about Mount being a hard worker but not getting any praise for it. Gallagher also is a hard worker. The problem with Gallagher is with Mount, his hard work, it feels like he's busting it, trying to make things happen, but there's not really any help for him. Gallagher, it feels like his hard work, he's trying, but he's actually making more mistakes instead of helping the team. Mount, when he does things, he's trying to help the team. Gallagher feels like he's working hard to make up for his mistakes, and it causes more mistakes. He's trying to keep possession, but then it's a bad pass, and then he tries to go win the ball back, and then he gets beat because he goes flying into the challenge. It's too many moments of that. It's too many moments of he's just not... He's hurting us more than he's helping us. Mount, when he works hard, I don't ever really see him hurt us. He will miss a couple chances here and there, but for the most part, his hard work is just kind of... It doesn't really do anything because he presses and nobody goes with him, and so it's just... He just made a run and nothing happened. Or he has the ball and he's trying to make a pass, but nobody's making a run for him, so he just decides, all right, well, keep possession, we'll go backwards. That's kind of the worst of Mount's hard work. Gallagher's hard work at its worst, it turns into, I'm going to go fly into this challenge and get sent off because I went in too hard. I was trying to win the ball back that I gave away and then studs up, or lunging at the ball, get a second yellow, something along those lines. It feels like his hard work is always... It's not helping us. It's making things worse in there. And I don't think that's where he needs to be. I don't think, because there's so much going on in the midfield, because you need players that they're not going to be just chasing the ball constantly, you need somebody in there who's a bit more organized, a bit more controlled, calm. Gallagher just seems kind of like a wildfire, which when he's up in the front line, that's fine. You can have him running around up there and it's whatever. That's kind of what Mount does again. But when he's in the midfield, when he has to be more defensively solid, when he has to keep possession better, that type of wild energy hurts you more than it helps you. So he's either got to find a way to calm that down, or we just don't need to use him in the midfield because it's been hurting us the past few games. There have been too many moments of that's just too easy. It's too easy of a giveaway, and then that's too easy to get beat after trying to win it back. So I don't want to be too harsh on him because, again, I do appreciate that he is trying because some players just don't try. But at the same time, he is hurting us at this point. So Potter either needs to move him up or we just need to stop playing him altogether, depending on what position Potter wants to play him. And then in the front three, you had Chukwuemeka, Mount, Havertz. Mount already talked about a bit. Yeah, it was kind of pretty much the same today. A lot of hard work, but not much product from it, unfortunately. Chukwuemeka, I thought, was pretty solid. Not quite as good as we've seen him in the past couple games, but glad he finally got a start. And honestly, his runs made some problems for the defense. It didn't necessarily give us great chances, but it at least troubled the defense. It made the defense work and wore them down a little bit. And I feel like that's something that we don't do often enough. Most of the time, it feels like defenders are happy to play against us because they can just sort of sit back, defend, and then go long with it. Chukwuemeka is that player that he'll make a run that sort of draws a defender out of position. And now he has to chase, and now another defender has to come in and cover that position. And it makes things difficult to sort of keep organized back there, which tires defenses out. And it gives us more chances to get in behind because of how disorganized he can make things. So, I thought overall, again, not fantastic, but good enough to say, let's keep giving him chances. I'd like to see a front line of him, Felix, and I don't know who would play up top. It's kind of where we are right now. I'm just like, Havertz doesn't look good, Aubameyang doesn't look good, and I haven't seen enough of Fofana, so maybe give Fofana a chance, see what he can do. But yeah, Havertz today, another very dull performance from him. Glad he got the goal. And, every goal, I think, maybe this will be the confidence boost he needs to really start giving us something, start moving more, trying to work hard in the box. But every game he comes out the same. He just stands up there, waits for the game to come to him. It's only whenever we're breaking out that I see him making runs. But when we have possession in the final third, he's just a cone. He just stands in there and just like, all right, cross me the ball now, I'm ready. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that type of striker. Unless he's consistently scoring goals, because Giroud is that type of striker. He could be in there and he could just stand, but you send him the ball and he's going to make a quick little run and he's going to find the net. Havertz, Lukaku, Aubameyang, they stand in there, you send them the ball in. If it's not right on their head, they're not getting to it because they're not going to move for it. So, that's just my own personal frustration with them. As far as the subs that came on, Aubameyang was the first one on for Chukwuemeka. Not a sub that I really liked, but I don't know. I don't like Havertz and Aubameyang up there together because I feel like they're both too stagnant when we have possession. They don't really work well off each other. It feels like it's very disconnected. It feels like it's not them working in tandem. It's more so, all right, I'm gonna make this run, and you just made the same run. All right, well now what do we do? We're both in the same space. So I would like to see if they're gonna play both of them up there. If one makes a run, the other one needs to make a run that is off of that. Is different, is drawing defenders, not here, and then stand. Just another very dull performance from Aubameyang as well. Koulibaly came on for Hull, and I don't really have much to say about. He did okay. I'm not a big fan of him, obviously, because of his past performances. So today it didn't really change my mind. It was just one of those. Okay, well he didn't hurt us today, so that's a good thing. But I'm not necessarily changing my tune on Koulibaly anytime soon. He's going to have several games in a row of him doing fantastic defending before I'm like, okay, I believe in Koulibaly now. And then the final two were Spilicueta and Kovacic on for Havertz and Ziyech, I think. And this is where I'm not going to talk too much about Potter, but decision that doesn't make any sense to me because I rarely see teams that decide, oh, we're 1-0 up, let's pack it in. I rarely see teams that do that ending the game well. Most of the time, teams that do that, they're sitting there at the end of the game sweating because they just gave up 5 chances in the last minute. And that's kind of what happened. We were on the back foot ever since that sub because we packed it in. We thought, all right, we'll just defend. But it slows you down. It lets the other team start to build up momentum, which gives them confidence. They start creating chances. They start having these almost shots or saves, and then the crowd's getting riled up behind the goal because they're like, yeah, let's go. And you're just waiting for that goal to go in. So I hate whenever teams decide to do that, and especially teams that I support, because it just doesn't help anything. It helps the other team, really. So, but as far as the two subs that came on, Kovacic and Spilicueta, neither of them really changed the game in a positive way for us. They both just sort of came on and, Spilicueta looked okay defensively, but not great. Had a couple of scary moments. Kovacic didn't really help us in the midfield like I was hoping he was going to. Added fresh legs, had a couple of decent challenges, but it's not like suddenly we were winning the midfield having an extra body in there. So, yeah, there's two subs that didn't really do much to help us. More helped Palace get that last boost of adrenaline to try to tie it up. And thankfully, their finishing this season is worse than ours. So that's kind of what kept us in the game. But yeah, all in all, like I said, not a game, not a win that I'm too excited about. Nothing that I feel like is going to turn our fortunes around. It's just not enough. It's still not enough. Obviously, we're getting these new signings in. Once Felix is back, I feel like that will help our attack a little bit more. But we still just need finishers. We need players that can put the ball in the back of the net. Because even with Felix, he looked good last match, couldn't finish, and was making great passes to players who couldn't finish. So until we get finishers in, and also until we strengthen our midfield more, because my God, it's so weak right now, until we make those additions and we find those players that can finish and can control our midfield better, it's going to be, we can beat teams like Palace at home. But on the road, maybe get a draw. If we face anybody at the top half of the table, Liverpool, I'm not expecting a win. I'm expecting a draw at best. And that's not a good feeling to have. So if we get the win, because Liverpool's not in a great form right now either, so there's that kind of feeling of, okay, we're both in bad form. Maybe we both have a chance. Maybe this will be. But I don't know. I don't feel confident going into these matches anymore. And until, the medical staff, until that starts to change, and until we get players in that can help our attack and help our midfield, it's always going to have that nervousness about it. Even if we're a goal up, it's always going to have that feeling of, this could change in a moment. So that's it for me, though. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this match? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace out.